Hello everybody, and welcome back to Culz Does Book Reviews. If you didn't check out last week's episode, please go check it out. It was Max Hawthorne's Kronos Rising Kraken, his follow-up to his first book in the series, Kronos Rising. It was a really fun read. I'll put a link in the description. Now, if you have not gotten the hint about what we're looking at today, by either what you saw at the beginning of the video or what's behind me, we are checking out the brand new, just released on today, January 14th, Meg Nightstalkers by Steve Alten. Now, this is the 5th book in the Meg series and the 7th book in the Jonas Taylor, Zachary Wallace crossover series, which also includes the Loch and Vostok. Now, Meg Hells Aquarium and Vostok play heavily into Meg Nightstalkers. And I am super thrilled. Obviously, Meg Hells Aquarium came out in 2009, and so we've been waiting a while, and with the news that the first Meg movie is going to be released in the upcoming years, it now has casted Jason Statham, which will now, I'm talking to a lot of people I know, a lot of people are excited for that. Steve Alten has now released Meg Nightstalkers to tie in with that. I first found the Meg series back in 2008. My mom and dad had actually picked up Primal Waters at a thrift store, and I didn't know at the time it was part of a series. Obviously, now I know it's the 3rd book in this series. But I actually had gone to another thrift store. It was right before me and my family had left for Arizona, and I found the first Meg. I read it. And I read it one night. It was super engrossing. It was super fun, super intriguing. I just enjoyed it. And it got me back into reading. So, Steve, if you're ever watching this, thank you so much for getting me back into that reading mind. I love reading now. And I love writing. And I want to write stories because of authors like Steve Alten or Max Hawthorne. So, thank you so much, Steve. But yeah, like I said, I read that. And then I read Trench on the Airplane to Arizona. I got back, read Primal Waters. And then next year, Culz Aquarium came out, and I loved it. That, along with Loch and maybe Chuck Palahniuk's Rant, are 3 of the books that I say are at the top of my list all the time. And so when I heard Nightstalkers was finally released, and we'll start with the cover. Super cool artwork. It's obviously depicting Bella and Lizzy, the two like dominant pups from Angel's litter. Where do we see this kind of start off story-wise? It starts off at David Taylor's therapy session. Now we're reading transcripts from a recorder, so we're just hearing voices, but it looks to be the 3rd time he's been to the therapy. Obviously, he went to therapy at the end of Hells Aquarium because he's struggling with Kaylie's death. He's still struggling through the book. I mean, throughout the entire book, he's having nightmares, precognitive dreams, premonitions dreams of, he even thinks, hey, today's the day I'm going to die. He has a dream of Kaylie. He's like, today is the day I'm going to die. And so it picks up there. He, at the end of the prologue, is set to go kill the liopleurodon. He wants to kill it. He wants to exact revenge for what it's done, how it's ruined his life. So he goes, and the Saudi prince and the Emirates prince and everyone, they know that's what he wants to do. And they don't want to risk losing the liopleurodon, which is going to be the main attraction at the Dubai aquarium. So they say, hey, if you want to be part of this, you got to go through a test run. So they send him out on another ship to capture some more animals to fill up the aquarium. Obviously, one of Angel's other pups are there, as is the Dunkleosteus, which those 2 alone I think is amazing. But just imagine having a 120-foot liopleurodon. Obviously that would draw it in, and that's what drives them. They would say, it's Dubai, everything's bigger and better there. You see, the Burj Khalifa, they're building the iconic tower now. And so the liopleurodon's going to be their main attraction, but like I said, they don't want to risk it. They send him to go get some shoniosaurs, which are like 75-foot ichthyosaurs with really dolphin-like heads, and they were squid eaters, possibly even preyed upon by some giant squids. So David sets out. They're filming the whole thing. It's being played as kind of like Well Wars is, how you see Well Wars today, and they follow what the crew does. It's kind of like that, but at the same time it has that reality kind of contest thing going on. Who's going to go to the Tonga to capture the liopleurodon? Well, at first David pretends he's not David. He runs into Jacqueline, and she becomes his love interest. But she, at the beginning, says, you know, I don't want any love. And you see her even talking to the prince, and she's like, you know, he says, if you can help this, you'll get the promotion and go to the new aquarium. And so the whole story, you're like, does she really even love him? Or because at points she says she loves him, and you're like, is this true? I mean, I don't know. The suspense, I would say, is super good. I mean, we know Steve can do it. He did the Shell game perfectly. It's one of awesome, probably my top 5 favorite books all time right there. And so we know the suspense was good. The animals were really cool. There's a part where Zachary Wallace, yes, Zachary Wallace does appear in this, and Jonas are underwater trying to escape the Leviathan, the ancient sperm whale that had the giant teeth, and it was an active hunter that you saw in Vostok. They go underwater and they see what at first looks like roots, but it turns out to be squid, which I thought was super cool. But they hang from the ceiling as to not try to fall prey to the Leviathan, and they have bioluminescence that shoot color down to their tentacles, which have these giant suckers, and they actually see some manta rays, giant manta rays, fall prey to these squid, which I thought was cool. Like I said, Shoniosaurs are there. There's a mosasaur. Super cool Leviathans are there. Obviously, we know the Leviathan was fleshed out, obviously, in Vostok, but the two most fleshed out, obviously, are Bella, Lizzy, and the liopleurodon. Both of them we've seen in Hells Aquarium. We know what the Megs can do, but I think these two seem different than Angel. And I thought that's what was refreshing. Even though it was Meg, it was by Steve Alten, it felt refreshing. They hunt together, and they're hunting the orcas more as territorial disputes. And orcas use their numbers to take down big prey, yes, but when the big prey is multiplied by less than just one, or more than just one, and they have giant teeth and will hunt you back, the orcas are actually falling prey. And it sends people in a riot. Okay, let's go exterminate the Megs. That's how Jonas Taylor goes there. But then he decides, hey, you know, I don't want to deal with this anymore. After, you know, an accident happens and ships get destroyed, people get eaten, he's like, I'm too old for this. He wants to relax. Terry's dealing with Parkinson's, so he wants to be there for her. He wants to bring David home. And so he decides, hey, I don't want to do this anymore. He talks to Zachary Wallace, who you see, I think the Vostok, I know it wasn't well received by a lot of people I talked to. I liked it personally, but I think if you read this, it actually helps that book. I liked Vostok, but after reading this, I think it made Vostok even better, because you see repercussions from Vostok through Nightstalkers. Jonas installs airbags when he's talking to Zach Wallace. He says, hey, I have this recurring dream, which eventually Jonas does find out, hey, it's not. He went to an alternate timeline. He doesn't quite say how right away, but he says, you know, this is what happens on this day. And, you know, it was a really fun read, and I'm glad, you know, Steve Alten's back to writing Meg. Like I said, too long, but it was good. Really, really go check it out, guys. I enjoyed it. It's my favorite book of 2016, which is saying whole lot. This month alone has some great titles coming out, but so far it is my favorite book that we've reviewed, at least for the channel. I give it, review for the channel this year, I give it an 8.4 out of 10, which is our third highest rating we've ever given out. The highest obviously was an 8.7, and Shot in the Back was the second with an 8.5. So it really was really exciting to see him back at the genre. I think it's slightly below Loch and Hells Aquarium as well as the original Meg, but it's at least on par with the Trench, if not better. And like I said, on par, if not better. The Trench, a little bit above Vostok and above Primal Waters. So, super good, guys. Go check it out. Meg Nightstalkers, 8.4 out of 10. Go support him. He does Adopt an Author program. I'll put a link to his Facebook, his website, his Twitter. So please, guys, go support him. Go pick up this book. Start from the beginning if you haven't. read all of them. You can read Meg. Read them in, like you see, Meg, Trench, Primal Waters, Loch, Hells Aquarium, and Vostok, leading up to Nightstalkers, and looking forward to Meg Generations, which was hinted to at the end of the book. So guys, until next time, I don't want to give away too much. I'm going to cut it short here, but I super enjoyed it, so thank you for checking this out. Meg Nightstalkers, 8.4 out of 10. Super good. Best book of 2016 so far. So I know we have reviews so far for Vostok, Meg Nightstalkers, as well as the prequel in Meg, the new anniversary edition. So I will eventually get you guys all reviews for all these, and I'll put them in links in the description. So if you're watching down the road, you'll see all the links eventually. But also go check out Max Hawthorne. But until next time, guys, enjoy your days.